Alright guys, so I'm going to go over Firestarter 39 today. Remember, Firestarter 39 for 9, 10, and 11 is talking about arc length. So around the circle is 360 degrees of total arc. So I know that all these together, I know this guy, whatever this one is right here, and whatever this one is right there. Now we also found out that since this is a central angle, we know that arc is 143 degrees. We know that that arc is 26 degrees. So I can take 9x plus 5. I can add it to 7x plus minus 6. I can add it to 26. I can add it to 26, and I can add it to 143. And together that's going to equal 360. So now I combine my like terms here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to put 9x and 7x together. Gets 16x. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Plus 26 is 25. Plus 143 is 168. Remember that equals 360. Now it's just a PEMDAS backwards problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 168 from both sides. I'm going to end up with 16x equals 192. To get x by itself, I divide by 16. Then I have x equals 12. Now the last thing I do is I put 12 back in. So I'm going to put 12 in right there and 12 in right there. 7 times 12 is 84. 84 minus 6 is 78 degrees. Remember, that's the same thing as the angle and the arc because this dot's in the center. 9 times 12 is 9 times 12 is 108. Yeah, 108. Plus 5, so that's 113 degrees. Remember, it's the same thing as this and this. So I add them all up to make sure they equal 360. So this is just me double checking my work. So I do 78 plus 22 plus 26 plus 113 plus 143. 78. I don't know, I just added an extra 22 in there. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, okay, so it works. Alright. Now, number 10, the exact same concept. So remember, all these, the whole thing, so the whole thing around here equals 360. Alright. So I do know that this is a 90 degree angle, which makes that 90 degrees here. So I know that 8x minus 3 plus 7x minus 12 plus 4x plus 90 equals 360. So I'm going to add all my x's together. 8x and 7x is 15x. Plus 4x is 19x. I'm going to have my numbers together. Minus 3 minus 12 is minus 15. Plus 90 is 75. So it's 19x plus 75 equals 360. Alright, so I'm going to do 360 minus 75. I'm going to do 285. So 19x equals 285. I divide both sides by 19. I end up with x equals 15. Now it says to find AD. So really, to find AD, I have to make sure I plug 15 in right there. So 8 times 15 minus 3. This should be 117 degrees, which means that's 117 degrees. Now just to double check, I'm going to put 15 in right there. So 4 times 15, so this should be 60 degrees. And then 7 times 15, it's 105 minus 12. So that should be 93 degrees. Last thing I'm going to do to check my work is I'm going to add these all together. So I'm going to do 90 plus 60 plus 93 plus 117. It works. So the way I'm going to answer this though, because I'm going to say the measure, remember use the little m for measure, of AD with the arc is equal to 117 degrees. That's it. Alright, so find the length of RS. So we need to find RS. Alright, so the good news is I know that this angle right here is 55 degrees, and vertical angles tells me that this is 55 degrees. I know that VT is a diameter, so I know that from the red arc, or the measure of angle VT, I don't know why I put angle, I'm sorry. I could write that actually, but the measure of arc VT equals 180 degrees. I also know that right here is 55 degrees. Because that's the rule about, as long as the dot's in the middle, the angle and the arc are the same. Alright? Now, I know this is 94, I know this is 55. So to find the measure of arc RS, I'm going to do 180 minus 94 minus 55. So the measure of arc RS is 180 minus 94 minus 55, which is 31 degrees. Alright. Now STV. So STV means it's a big arc. Remember 3 letters? That's called a major arc, which means it's usually going to be above 180, but it's going to be a bigger number. Right? So S to T to V. So I'm going to actually kind of do some erasing here. So STV is this red line. S to T to V. Alright. So really, I have to know what VU is. So I know that VU is 180 minus 55. Actually, I don't even really need to know it, but I know it's 125 degrees here. So I'm going to add 125, 55, and 94. So I'm going to add 125 degrees plus 55 degrees plus 94 degrees. So 125 and 55 is 180 plus 94 is 274. So the measurement, look, I put a little m, then STV with the arc symbol is 274 degrees. And that's it for the first part of Firestarter 39. Remember, central angles are easy, but all these have to have the little dot in the center. Alright, they have to be central angles. Alright. Alright, this next one, this is more like notes. Alright, basically, we're going to talk about some of this stuff right here. An inscribed angle, see how like now our angle is not in the center. A central angle would be the dot in the center. Right? This is not in the center. Now the difference is the arc length changes. Right? And there's a rule that says the angle is half the arc length. So if this was 20 degrees, this arc length is 40 degrees. If it was 80 degrees, this is 160 degrees. So that's really all you do here is double the angle or cut the arc in half. If you have an inscribed intercepting a diameter, an inscribed angle that intercepts a diameter is 180 degrees. I'm sorry, it makes a right angle if it's halfway through the circle. That's because using this theory right here, right? If you're using the diameter and it's inscribed, half of that is 90, so we know it's going to be a right angle. 2 overlapping arcs. So they're going to say the ABD right here is the same as a CD. So basically, guys, what this is saying is this red guy is inscribed, right? So this blue line right here, half of that is that angle. Now if I look here, this purple one, it's the same thing. Half of the blue line is the angle, half the blue arc. All right, so they're saying if they are if the two arcs are the same, then you're gonna have they're gonna be equal. The angles are gonna be congruent. And actually, we talked about this on our post-test study guide. Inscribed quadrilaterals, the opposite angles equal 180. So we know that these two equal 180, and we know that these two equal 180. So we're gonna talk about that next. All right, so find each measure. So I'm going to start with STR. So look, S to T. I do a very good job tracing. So this is a major arc. It's going to go all the way around. All right. So I got to know all that. So I got to know ST. So I can start, actually I can know it. Remember, this is inscribed, so I know that this is 130 degrees. All right. I know that from S to Q is 180. So if that's 130, that means from T to Q, or just this little guy right here, is going to be 50. All right. Now I need to know Q to R. So let's see, how could I figure out Q to R? I'm being silly now. Everything we know about the circle, so to find QR, it's going to be 360 minus all those together. So I don't like the order that they gave it in, because look, I already found ST. So the measurement of arc ST is 130 degrees. So remember, we found that because we doubled 65. TQ we found because S to Q is a diameter, so it means 180. We did 180 minus 130 to give me 50 degrees. So we already found T to Q. Sorry. So now we're doing SQR. So we're going to do 360 for SQR minus 130. That's this angle right here. Minus 50. That's this angle right here. Minus 106. So I'm going to do 360 minus 130 minus 50. And I get 74. So I know that's 74 degrees. So QR is 74 degrees. So I think it's silly to find STR first when I had to find all that other stuff first. But now STR is going to be the 130, the 50, and the 74. So I'm just going to go 130 plus 50 plus 74. I end up with 254 degrees. Or I'm silly too. I guess I'm being kind of dumb. I could have just done 360 minus 106 to start. So there's a bunch of ways to do these. So kind of to start all over, maybe make our lives a little bit easier. Right? So I could have realized, or I should have realized, that in the beginning, S to T to R is the whole circle minus this chunk, and I should have just done that to start. It's probably way easier than what I just did. But we did get to answer some of these other questions here. QRS, so Q to R to S, well, that's pretty easy. That's 180 degrees, right? So it goes through the diameter. All right. Now we're going to talk about angles. So remember, angles are half of the arc. So the arcs are going to tell me the angles. So SQR. S to Q to R is this angle right here. So I got SQR. 106 is the arc. See how the arc is with the 106? So I cut that in half to give me 53 degrees. That's it. All right. 13, find the value of x. So this is equal to half of that. So 71 is equal to 1/2 16x minus 2. So I'm going to distribute the 1/2. So I get 71 equals 8x minus 2. I'm sorry, 8x minus 1. Now I add 1 to both sides, so I get 72 equals 8x. Divide both sides by 8, x equals 9. So 16 times 9, and just to double check my work, 16 times 9 is 144 minus 2. This should be 142 degrees. Double 71 times 2 is 142. All right. So remember, this is the angle. This is the arc. So 2x minus 5 is equal to 1/2 whatever the arc is, which is 5x minus 27. Now see how that's messy? I don't want to make fractions. So what I'm going to do, instead of distributing, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to do this. I'm going to multiply this side by 2 and multiply both of these by 2. So those will cancel, and then I can get 4x minus 10 equals 5x minus 27. It's going to be way easier. So now I'm going to move my x's to the right side, so I'm going to minus 4x to both sides. And then I'm going to add 27 to both sides to put my numbers on the left. So I get 17 equals x. Now it wants you to find the arc of EC. So I am going to put 17 in right there. So I do 5 times 17 minus 27 is 58. So I get the measurement of EC equals 58 degrees. Now just to double check, I should get half of that when I do 2 times 17 minus 5. So I'm going to check that. 2 times 17 minus 5 is 29. It works. All right. So last one, 15. We talked about this. W and Y are opposite, so together they have to equal 180. So 11x minus 29 plus 6x plus 5 equals 180 degrees. So I have 11x and 6x, that's 17x minus 29 plus 5 is minus 24 equals 180. All right. Now I'm going to add 24 to both sides. So I get 17x equals 214. I'm going to do 214 divided by 17. Oh, let's see. 204. I'm silly. So I do 204 divided by 17. I end up with 12. Now they want the measurement of angle W, so I got to put 12 in right there. So the measurement of angle W is equal to 11 times 12 minus 29. So it's 103 degrees. And that finishes Firestarter 39. So a lot of new ideas. Just had to remember the difference between an inscribed angle, which means the angle vertex is on the circle. So these are inscribed because look, it's not part of the center. The angle is not part of the center. Versus central angles had the angles coming from the center. Right?